Trying to just give my colleagues the tools to be successful, right? We're hitting the ground running.
The West Virginia Legislature is underway with changes inside the state Senate. What's new and how lawmakers are pushing forward?
It would be nice, for like elderly people and like my mom and dad and stuff, because they're up to age, they need somebody like that close to them.
Wayne County is preparing for a new EMS station. How this new station could save taxpayer dollars.
A little bit of snow that's going to be coming in later this evening, but I'll have those details coming up.
Eyewitness News at 5 starts right now.
Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight at 5. You know what? It has been a busy day at the Capitol as the legislative session kicked off this morning, with the governor set to give his State of the State address in just 2 hours. Our Joe DeChristofaro, he joins us live with a look at what to expect from Morrissey's second State of the State address as governor. Joe, what can you tell us?
Well, Peyton, only a few hours from now, Governor Patrick Morrissey will deliver his State of the State address, outlining his first year in office and taking a look ahead at goals for the new year. Now, with the governor's address right around the corner, I caught up with a few state lawmakers about what they're hoping to hear out of the governor tonight. They say it comes down to PEIA, economic development across the state, housing, and other challenges that need addressed for the people of West Virginia.
PEIA has really been a place where we need more funding. And I'll give you an example. Just $10 million last year, $10 million in a budget of over $5 billion would have prevented our senior citizens from having a premium increase. Those folks that work for the state for 30 years or more on a state retirement, fixed income, if we could have just put $10 million more into PEIA, would have prevented them having a 10% increase in their premiums.
Other lawmakers say they hope to see the governor address ongoing struggles with infrastructure and affordability as well. Now, the governor's State of the State is set to begin at 7 p.m. Reporting live in Charleston, Joe DeChristofaro, Eyewitness News.
And like Joe said, the State of the State starts at 7 o'clock tonight. You can watch it on our website, WCHSTV.com, as well as our Facebook and YouTube pages. And lawmakers, they gaveled in for the start of the second regular session of the 87th Legislature at noon today, with the state Senate moving forward after a shakeup in leadership. Eyewitness News anchor Anthony Kahn spoke with lawmakers about what's new in Senate chambers.
While the first day of the West Virginia State Senate was quick and the session really had nothing unusual, but it was the 24 hours leading up to this session that has some questioning the direction of the Senate moving forward. The Senate has had a flurry of leadership changes and developments just in the last day. Republican Senator Laura Chapman resigning as chair of the Senate Health Committee, and a letter to Senate President Randy Smith saying, quote, "Given your demand that I promise my support to you, I'm hereby immediately resigning as health chair." Now, Smith has made a lot of changes in the last 24 hours, including naming Senator Brian Helton to replace Chapman on that health committee. Smith also named Jay Taylor as president pro temp, and also Harrison County's Ben Queen as the new Senate Majority Whip. I spoke with the new Senate Majority Whip, Ben Queen, and Democratic Senator of Campbell County, Mike Woelfel, about these changes.
I'm trying to just give my colleagues the tools to be successful, right? We're hitting the ground running. Day one, we got 60 days to go, trying to build consensus.
One thing I'll say about the Senate is the only constant is change. So folks changing positions is expected, and we'll just adapt to that and move forward.
And as for priorities for the Senate session as a whole, Senator Woelfel said that he's focused on improving the state's foster care system. And as for Majority Whip Queen, he said that he's focused on getting high-paying, good jobs for those in the Mountain State. At the state capitol, I'm Anthony Kahn.
In the House of Delegates, lawmakers say that the agenda is focused on economic development. House Speaker Roger Hanshaw described the delegates' plan as a job first economic opportunity everywhere agenda. Hanshaw has also said that their efforts will be on a three-pillar approach to increase jobs in the state and grow the economy through investment across multiple industries. The session lasts 60 days and wraps up at midnight on March 14th. A nearly year-long investigation into the death of an 11-year-old girl in Taylor County has led to the arrest of the girl's stepmother on murder charges. 51-year-old Shannon Robinson was arrested today. Her 11-year-old stepdaughter was found unresponsive at a home in Grafton in February of last year. Investigators, they say the little girl was severely underweight and malnourished. She later died at a hospital, and investigators say they could find no records of medical care going back to 2020 and said that the girl weighed just 43 pounds. A final autopsy report was completed in October. Court records, they say the girl was deprived from food as a form of punishment. The girl's biological father is named in court records and accused of allowing the conditions in the home to exist, but has not been charged as of tonight. And we are learning new details about an incident involving ICE agents in Putnam County that drew a wave of criticism on social media. We've now learned that state police and ICE agents took 8 men into custody after a traffic stop led officers to a home in Hurricane where 7 of the men were working on a roof. Troopers say that the workers were not legally in the United States. Pictures of the incident that showed a ladder truck from the Taze Valley Fire Department being used to reach the workers were posted to social media. Delegate Kathy Hess-Krause, who represents Putnam County, defending the department today, saying the firefighters had no idea when they were called to help that it was part of an ICE operation. You can read more about this story right now on WCHSTV.com. And now on to an update on a story that we've been following for you. All employees at the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, also known as NIOSH, who were laid off last year, well, they've now all been fully reinstated. The American Federation of Government Employees says that the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has reversed its decision, canceled all layoff notices sent out about 9 months ago. The layoff sparked concern in West Virginia because NIOSH has a major facility in Morgantown. The location is the only one in the country that provides black lung screenings and conducts critical research on job-related health risks for coal miners and firefighters. The union says it'll continue pushing for full funding and the rehiring of additional researchers.
Well, we started off some sprinkles of rain kind of earlier in the day. We're still holding on to those really cloudy, kind of light rain conditions kind of all across the region here, and everyone's seeing a little bit of that rainfall. That Barboursville camera covered in rain at the moment, and you can see how damp those roads are, even in Charleston too. And those roads are going to become icy as we make our way towards Thursday, which is going to be the coldest day of the week. Those wind chills are not going to be leaving kind of the teens, around 10 to 15 degrees for the day. So again, tomorrow it is going to be very chilly, so make sure you're prepared and bundling up. But again, those roads are going to be very icy, so just make sure that tomorrow you're driving very carefully. But again, take a look at that live radar again. A lot of us are getting rain, but really quickly that snow right behind it, and that's going to be entering our region as we make our way towards later tonight. And even the mountains are already getting a little bit of rainfall, but taking a closer look here kind of in the Charleston region and more in Ripley, they're getting a little bit of heavier rainfall, and we're going to be getting that here kind of in the next few minutes. And then that's going to be lasting through the night, but again, transitioning to that snow that mountain area is already kind of seeing slowly kind of building up with that winter mix as our temperatures continue to fall. Now they're in the 40s. We are also in the 40s, around 42 degrees, and it's going to be getting a little bit colder as we make our way through the night, but I'll have details in just a bit.
Ashley, thank you. And drivers in Cabell County, a heads up for tomorrow. Old Guyandotte River Road, County Route 26 in Barboursville will be closed tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Construction crews, they'll be continuing demolition of the old westbound Guyandotte River Bridge. Traffic for that will be detoured around US 60. Official drivers should expect that the delays and to plan ahead and avoid the area if at all possible. Wayne County is in the process of creating its own ambulance service made possible by a levy that passed in 2024. As Gil McClanahan reports, it's a project that is expected to save taxpayers money over time.
Right now, it's just a vacant lot in the Genoa community of Wayne County, but eventually it'll be home to a county EMS station. Adam Van Adder's parents live across the road from the site.
It will be nice, for like elderly people and like my mom and dad and stuff, because they're up to age, they need somebody like that close to them.
It was 3 or 4 years ago, I had a bad tractor accident, and it took them a little while to get to me up here on this hill back where I was at.
The temporary situation is working.
Wayne County currently has 2 ambulances that operate out of temporary facilities 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Commission President Travis Thompson says the goal is to improve ambulance service with better facilities and by having the ability to park vehicles inside out of the weather. The county currently pays rent for the temporary facilities. How is this project going to save Wayne County taxpayers money? Or will it?
It will, because currently we're paying rent, so that the rent that we're paying will go towards the building construction costs and things like that.
Thompson says the county is looking for property to build another EMS station similar to the one proposed for the Genoa community. Architects are tweaking the design plans to better estimate the cost of the project. County leaders hope to start construction on the Genoa EMS station later this year. In Wayne County, Gil McClanahan, Eyewitness News.
Gil, thank you. And a West Virginia teacher and a school custodian are being recognized by the State Board of Education. Upshur County custodian Brandon Kelly and Ohio County special education teacher Tiffany Barnes are being honored as this year's State School Service Personnel of the Year and State Teacher of the Year. State education officials, they say Kelly is known for mentoring students in his school, while Barnes brings years of classroom experience and is also a two-time Iraq War veteran. Barnes says that the recognition is about shining a light on the importance of special education.
I am so excited to represent not only my school and our county, but also West Virginia. I hope that this year is the commitment that I'm about to have for all of our staff and our educators. It's going to be a good year, but I want to, special education is my heart and soul, and it's something that doesn't get highlighted enough.
As part of the honor, Barnes is also receiving a new Toyota RAV4 to use during her year as Teacher of the Year. And after nearly a year of coverage of unclaimed property, more money is heading back to local communities. State Treasurer Larry Pack visited Wayne and Cabell counties to return nearly $54,000 in unclaimed property funds. The Wayne County Commission received just more than $6,100, while Cabell County schools received nearly $48,000. Treasurer Pack says the funds came from stale checks and unused payments and can now be put back to work supporting local government services and schools.
It's really good to do that. I mean, it's very rewarding to do that, particularly when it comes to a Board of Education, because we all know that our schools are really struggling for money, and it's really tough, so they need it for teachers and supplies and so forth.
State officials, they've returned more than $364,000 through the state, but they also say there are hundreds of millions of dollars that remain unclaimed across West Virginia. And to see if you have any unclaimed property or if the Treasurer's Office is holding any money for you or your family, visit wvunclaimed.property.gov. And Charleston's West Side has now a brand new place to eat tonight. Milano's Italian restaurant is now officially opening today on Washington Street in the Elk City district. The spot is taking over the former Albuquerque Southwest Bar and Grill location.
We started this project since November. Yep. And we did a lot of work into it. We have to change the whole kitchen design and everything to fit in our Italian cuisine. And we added actually a lot of stuff out of that menu requested by customers.
The menu features pasta, pizza, sandwiches, and a mix of international favors. The restaurant will be serving guests until 9 o'clock tonight.
Hundreds of millions of dollars sent overseas in suitcases with new questions about where the money came from. I'm Taylor Murray with more on how one key senator wants to know if any of that money is tied to Minnesota's fraud scandal.
Well, new developments tonight at Minnesota's $9 billion social services fraud scandal. The National News Desk Taylor Murray has more on new questions about the source of hundreds of millions of dollars sent overseas by members of the Somali community.
A newly released video describes another example of alleged fraud in Minnesota's Somali community.
When a Somali goes to the doctor, magically, they forgot how to speak English. The county brings in an interpreter at $100 an hour, minimum 8 hours.
Conservative YouTuber Nick Shirley's last video from December focused on alleged childcare fraud.
So this is Quality Learning Center. I meant to say Quality Learning Center.
But a whistleblower now alleging that the fraud, which some estimate has cost taxpayers $9 billion, is a deeply elaborate scheme.
So basically what we're talking about between all these fraudulent businesses, the daycare, the autism centers, the adult daycare, the home services, and then the transportation. And then on top of that, you have it looped in with them going eventually to the doctors for translators to be paid by the state.
That's exactly what's happening, yes.
Shirley's December video led to Democratic Governor Tim Walz ending his re-election campaign and national scrutiny of the Minnesota scandal. Critics point out the fraud has been going on for a decade.
Because the Somali population is such a massive voting bloc for the Democrat Party in Minnesota, they've turned a blind eye.
98 have faced federal charges in Minnesota so far. The vast majority, 85, are part of the state's large Somali community. And now, new scrutiny on hundreds of millions of dollars that are sent overseas from Somali Americans in the United States.
The reports were $700 million, and they weren't even hiding that they were sending it back.
Just the News reporting that in 2024 and 2025, Somali couriers moved $700 million out of Minneapolis overseas to Amsterdam and Dubai when the TSA then lost track of the cash. The money movements are legally registered with the federal government and have been going on for years. This Minneapolis TV station reported on it in 2018. But it's the massive amounts that are moved that have some wondering whether any of this money was obtained through fraud.
This is an insane amount of money to send back to Somalia.
But this is also the gall. You're stealing welfare money and you're taking it out of the country, and you are so in the belief that you won't get caught.
Senator Paul says he's launching an investigation into how much money is leaving the U.S. this way and which countries it's going to. For the National News Desk, I'm Taylor Murray.
Now, we want to hear from you. Do you believe elected leaders avoid investigating potential fraud due to fears of political backlash? To answer that question, just open your camera on your phone, scan the QR code, and vote on our website. We're going to have those results for you tomorrow on Eyewitness News at noon. Well, as temperatures dropping tonight and some wintry weather in parts of our region, a look at where we could see some snow in your 7-day forecast. Those details coming up next.
Well, obviously we're getting a lot of snow at the moment, but first let's talk about these temperatures. Now today it's going to be comfortable as we compare it to tomorrow, which is going to be a freezing start to our day. Now we are in the 40s. We can see those temperatures dropping into the 20s, 24 degrees at 5 a.m. and the wind chill is going to be even lower, but I'll give you those details in just a bit. Let's take a look at that rain here. Again, we're getting a lot of showers, kind of some more moderate showers making its way towards Charleston, but here's that snow making its way towards us, and that's going to be coming in just kind of in the next few hours here around 7. But again, we are getting that rain. Here's kind of a look at that moderate rain that's just now kind of picking up in the Ripley area, and Charleston is going to be seeing it. Also kind of in West Liberty, making its way up towards us here again as we get closer to around 6 p.m. And in the mountains, they're already starting to see a little bit of snow. This is more of kind of that winter mix coming up as those temperatures continue to drop, and then we're going to be seeing more snowfall kind of across the region here. That winter mix around 6:30, and then 8, we're going to be getting some snow in Charleston, mostly in the mountains though. They're going to be getting the majority of that snowfall as we progress through late tonight. This is going to be 10 p.m., getting a few kind of spotty snow showers kind of all across the region here. And then around midnight as well, going into the early hours Thursday, still getting some snow, mostly kind of those little lines here. We could be getting a little bit more snowfall than the rest of us. But again, the mountains are going to be getting the majority, and then there could be seeing maybe several inches. But Thursday afternoon, 8 p.m., we're finally going to be clearing out. But again, it's going to be a very chilly day. But taking a look at that snowcast, we're going to get maybe a dusting here and there, and then obviously more in the mountains. But you can see those little bands that I showed on that radar. We could be getting isolated maybe 2 inches of snowfall within those bands there. But of course, the mountains are going to be looking at maybe 3 to 6 inches of snow. Now, talking about those wind chills Thursday, I'm not excited for it. It is going to be freezing cold outside. So you can see 5 p.m. today, we're going to be 36 for that wind chill. But early Thursday, this is going to be 9 a.m. It's going to feel like 9 degrees in Charleston, all the way to Ashland, even in eastern Kentucky, 8 degrees, the Ohio River Valley, 8 to 6 degrees, and the mountains already in the negatives. Beckley, -1, that city of Mingo, -7, and Elkins also at -1 for that wind chill early tomorrow morning. Then as we make our way towards noon, there's really not much of a change. 10 degrees in Charleston, 13 in Huntington, still very chilly all across the region here, still in the negatives in Mingo and Elkins. And then 5 p.m., 11 degrees in Charleston, 10 in Logan, 13 in Pikeville, 15 in West Liberty and the Huntington area. But again, a very cold day. Those wind chills are going to be staying 15 kind of under. So again, very cold. So make sure you are bundled up for tomorrow. And we're still going to be seeing some snow as we make our way through this week, getting a break on Monday. But taking a look at that early forecast for Friday, again, it's going to be freezing tomorrow. Still pretty cold there. Those temps in the 30s, making their way into the 40s around 5 p.m. Friday afternoon. But we're still going to be seeing a little bit more snowfall coming in late though. 7 p.m. starting with rain, getting to snow late, and then lasting into early Saturday. So that weekend is going to be pretty snowy there, but we are going to be getting some lighter snowfall come Sunday. Temperatures dropping once more, going to have a high of 30 on that day there. And take a look at that extended forecast again. Monday, Martin Luther King Day, have a little bit of a break from all that snowfall we're going to be seeing in the next few days. We are going to be having some more snow on Tuesday, but still, it's going to be a very cold week with those high temperatures in the 30s, kind of low 40s, and those lows in the teens.
A proposal from President Trump to cap credit card interest rates is drawing strong reactions. But will it really help consumers, or will it hurt them? We break down what it could mean for your wallet in just a few minutes. President Trump says he wants to cap credit card interest rates at 10% for 1 year. Supporters say it could bring relief to borrowers facing much higher rates. Critics warn that the move could hurt low-income consumers and local economies. David Winter from our sister station in Ohio spoke with consumers and credit industry experts to break down this debate.
We accumulated a lot of credit card debt.
Like how much?
Well, it's about $63,000.
That's a lot of debt.
It is a lot of debt.
Sonia Clark says she and her husband accumulated the debt over many years at an average of a 22% interest rate. So at first glance, people like Sonia would likely be happy to see President Trump's Truth Social post over the weekend. It said, "We will no longer let the American public get ripped off by credit card companies. Effective January 20th, 2026, I, as President of the United States, am calling for a 1-year cap on credit card interest rates of 10%.
Capping 10% on interest rate will have a detrimental effect on economic development within Cincinnati.
Todd Moore is the education director at Trinity, a Sharonville-based national debt management company. He says if the president imposed this cap, the credit card companies will only lend money to those who have high credit scores.
You're limiting access to the credit market. You're narrowing the credit market. And anytime you narrow a credit market, you're limiting economic output.
With fewer people able to buy everything from clothes to refrigerators, the move will have a chilling effect on the economy, he says, and on banks and credit card companies.
That's not in their budgeted plan for right now, so it's not something where you can just flip the switch for them either.
Trinity's vice president says it could lead to mass layoffs in the banking industry, and she questions whether the president even has the authority to do it. Credit card regulations are usually controlled by Congress. Still, if it does happen, she says consumers should act quickly.
You want to be proactive and still try to pay as much as possible, so then your balance is down here when the rate goes back up.
Something Sonia says, from personal experience, will happen.
So they'll just, after a year, raise the rate real high, and then they get their money that way.
Well, if you missed it, it's the first time. Now your chance for Insomnia cookies. They're bringing back Campfire S'mores, a gooey cookie packed with Hershey's chocolate, marshmallows, and graham crackers. So the limited time flavor drops January 13th at 8 p.m. at participating locations nationwide. I believe there's one in Huntington because I've peeked up there a couple times for some late night cookies. And speaking of cookies, Girl Scout cookie fans, your ovens are about to be busy. Miss Jones Baking Company is now teaming up with Girl Scouts to launch new baking mixes inspired by fan favorites like Thin Mints, Lemon Ups, and Coconut Caramel. The lineup also includes 2 new cookie-inspired frostings. Pre-orders, they run through January 31st, with the full collection hitting Walmart February 15th for a limited time. Well, tensions are rising between the U.S. and its allies tonight. President Trump doubling down on Greenland, calling it a national security necessity. We're taking a look at how Denmark, Greenland, and NATO are now responding.
Eyewitness News at 5:30 starts right now.
All right, well, we're getting a lot of rain currently, snow just behind this front that we're going to be seeing around kind of late tonight, 7 to 9 p.m. So we're still going to be holding on to that rain for a while, but taking a look at the Charleston and Barboursville camera. The Barboursville camera is covered in a little bit of rain. But you can see that sun setting, some beautiful colors there, but again, we are getting a lot of rain at the moment. You can see those roads are very damp and they're going to quickly turn pretty icy as we get closer to midnight, because Thursday is going to be the coldest day this week. We're going to be having really low wind chill, so it's going to be feeling much colder than it is. And by these wind chills, they're going to be kind of in the teens to the single digits in some areas. So again, it's going to get very cold tomorrow, so very icy roads are expected. So just make sure you're driving very carefully. And again, here's a look at all that rain, that snow right behind it. Just a little bit of a closer look. Portsmouth already starting to get a few kind of snow sprinkles here and there, but we are still getting some rain. We got some moderate rainfall kind of heading towards us here, hitting the Ripley area, slowly making its way towards us. So more rain expected, but that is going to quickly transition into snow. In the mountains, of course, at higher elevation, having cooler temperatures, already kind of in the 40s, which is why they have a few little bit of snow kind of already piling up. That winter mix, though, mostly. But you can see the Ohio River Valley getting chilly. 37 at Moorhead in the eastern Kentucky area. Jackson, Ohio at 39. We're still in the 40s, but those temperatures are going to be dropping as we progress later through the night. We're going to be at 30 degrees at 9, 27 by 11, and that wind chill is going to be making it feel much colder. But I'll have specifics on tomorrow coming up.
Well, officials from Denmark and Greenland are reiterating their stance that Greenland is not for sale after meeting with their U.S. counterparts at the White House today. ABC's Christiane Cordero reports the meeting. It comes as tensions escalate, with the Trump administration insisting the U.S. needs Greenland for national security.
After an hours-long meeting with Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Vice President J.D. Vance at the White House today, a clear message from Denmark and Greenland.
Ideas that would not respect territorial integrity of the Kingdom of Denmark and the right of self-determination of the Greenlandic people are, of course, totally unacceptable.
The Trump administration has said for months that it wants to acquire Greenland for national security. The president falsely claims China and Russia are building a military presence off the coast of Greenland, which Arctic researchers have refuted. Denmark and Greenland point to the NATO alliance to address any security concerns.
The president has made his view clear, and we have a different position. We, the Kingdom of Denmark, continue to believe that also the long-term security of Greenland can be ensured inside the current framework.
At the U.S. Embassy in Copenhagen today, protesters show their support for Greenland's sovereignty and their concern President Trump will follow through on his promise.
I'm afraid that he will destroy the NATO alliance, that he will, and he threatens our kingdom and the Greenlanders.
The Danish Ministry of Defense today announced a joint NATO effort to expand the military presence in and around Greenland. That effort also includes officers from Sweden. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
Well, Iran remains on edge amid nationwide protests and government killings of demonstrators. Activists say at least 2,500 citizens have been killed. Iran's top judge hints that fast trials and executions are in the cards for those who have been detained for protesting in the country's theocracy. President Trump warned again on Tuesday that he's not afraid to intervene if the killings continue.
The killing looks like it's significant, but we don't know yet for certain. I'll know within 20 minutes. So, and we'll act accordingly.
Middle East governments have advised the U.S. to stay out of it, fearing, quote, unprecedented consequences for the region. They believe a U.S. strike could explode into full-blown war. The United States has warned U.S. citizens to leave Iran immediately, telling them to depart by land to Turkey or Armenia to safely do so. Well, some Democratic lawmakers are now calling to defund immigration and customs enforcement amid immigration crackdowns across the country. But Democratic leaders want to continue funding, but with adjustments, including forcing ICE officers to use body cameras and more extensive training, along with banning masks. A new YouGov poll shows that slight 46 to 43% support for eliminating ICE outright. According to Semaphore, there's also a push for a redirect of $75 billion and funding from last year's tax bill. There are Democrats who want something more aggressive as the White House defends the federal enforcement push.
Renee Nicole Good is dead because Secretary Noem allowed her DHS agents to run amok. Families are forever torn apart. This is not about personalities or trivial disagreements. Secretary Noem has called my impeachment efforts silly.
We're doing the right thing. We're going to keep with it, and they can protest all they want. We're just going to double down and enforce the law. And I said for months, we're going to surge resources in sanctuary cities because that's where the problem is.
That's in reference to an ICE officer shooting and killing Renee Good in her car. The White House and allies say she used her vehicle as a weapon and that the ICE officer responded in self-defense. Well, a growing number of Democrats are moving to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem after the killing of Renee Good in Minneapolis by an ICE officer. Illinois Congresswoman Robin Kelly now filing the articles. She alleges Noem is obstructing Congress, violating public trust, and using her office for personal gain.
We need to use every tool in our toolbox. If we do nothing, nothing will happen. And so just really now trying to build on momentum, getting as many people signed on as possible. That's the first step.
At least 60 congressional Democrats support the move. Party leadership did not attend today's press conference. Republicans hold majority in both chambers, so it's unlikely to go anywhere. Known President Trump and several other administration officials maintain that the officer was justified. DHS has characterized Good as a, quote, domestic terrorist and claimed that she tried to run over the officer with her vehicle. Well, take a listen to this. The Smithsonian says that it has provided more records to the White House amid an ongoing review demanded by the Trump administration. The review focuses on museum exhibits, programming, and governance. In a message to staff, Secretary Lonnie Bunch says that documents will be shared on a rolling basis. The White House previously warned many requested materials were still missing and set a January 13th deadline. At this time, ABC News is seeking comment from both sides. Well, if your phone suddenly showed SOS today, you weren't alone. Verizon says a service outage disrupted wireless voice and data for some customers this afternoon. The company says engineers, they're working to identify and fix the issue, but there's no word yet on when service will be fully restored. Down Detector reported as many as 175,000 customers were affected. New York City officials say some Verizon users also had trouble calling 911. Well, a Kentucky representative is now behind a new bill to define and criminalize grooming in the Commonwealth. State Representative Marianne Proctor of Union is now officially introduced to the bill. It's meant to stop the strategic manipulation of a child for the purpose of exploitation.
This has a high burden on law enforcement and a high burden on prosecution to make sure we are targeting people who should know better, who shouldn't be doing this, and are clearly doing it for inappropriate reasons.
Prosecutors say the bill is an important step in preventing abuse early on. And take a look here. A proposed challenge to Ohio's marijuana laws is not moving forward. Attorney General Dave Yost has rejected a petition seeking to repeal a new state law affecting medical and adult use marijuana. Yost says that the referendum was misleading and didn't accurately describe the proposal. The petition targeted Senate Bill 56, signed by Governor Mike DeWine last month. That law bans low-level THC intoxicating hemp products, including popular beverages. Supporters of the repeal effort will now have to start all over.
Did you get a new pet this holiday season? I'm Liz Bonus. You just took another step to good health. We explain why and what you need to know to continue to keep your pet healthy, too. It's just ahead.
Sky Team is sponsored by GoMart.
Well, if you adopted a dog or a cat this holiday season, you may have taken one more step towards good health. Medical reporter Liz Bonus explains why.
Hey there, everybody. This is Gunner. He's an 8-year-old American bulldog owned by our health photojournalist James Harrison. James admits that Gunner and his former cat Miley simply make you move. The American Heart Association says that's linked to a longer life and lowers your odds of a stroke, heart attack, or getting diabetes by up to 30%. The VP of Medical Services at this Ohio SPCA agrees.
They've shown that it can help with your blood pressure and relaxing and stress.
Dr. Jennifer Smith says pet ownership also benefits the mind.
Because they really, really do bring us that much joy and happiness.
She points out that right now, however, if you got a new pet for the holidays, you may be feeling more stress than stress relief.
It takes about 3 days for the pet to decompress, about 3 weeks for them to learn the rules of the house, and about 3 months for them to really feel at home.
Your local SPCA or animal shelter often has courses for training and support, she says, during this time.
If you have a cat, we actually recommend giving them their own spot where they feel safe and it's quiet, and they're going to have their food and litter box, and then they can slowly go out and explore the rest of the house.
If you recently got a dog, this is my family's shelter-adopted Kanye Corso named Rocco, by the way, they may need to slowly explore the great outdoors. Now, one dog advantage, the Heart Association says that you are 4 times more likely as a dog owner to fit in the 150 minutes of suggested exercise each week compared to non-dog owners. With your health news, I'm Liz Bonus reporting.
We'll keep the windy gear handy. Ashley Sinclair will show us when we'll see flurries and scattered snow. Those details after the break.
Well, we're currently getting some rain all across the region here, but let's talk about those temperatures. Now, we are in the 40s, but we are going to be getting into kind of the mid-30s around 9 p.m. That's when we're going to start to see more of that snowfall and those snow flurries kind of coming in. And those temperatures are going to be dropping 4 and 5 a.m. down into the low 20s. Tomorrow is going to be the coldest day of the week. Now, for those advisories that we have in place, that cold weather advisory up in the mountains, they're going to be having wind chills as low as 17 below. And we also have a winter weather advisory in place there, again, in the mountains. And they're going to be seeing maybe 3 to 5 inches of snow. 6 inches of snow is possible in some areas, and they're going to be having around 45-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So again, it's going to be very cold there. Again, we are still getting some of that rain here. Here's that snow kind of moving its way past Cincinnati into our region here, bringing us kind of more of those snow flurries around 9 p.m. But the Ohio River Valley mostly kind of starting to get more of that snow. We're here, we're just getting some rain at the moment, kind of some moderate snowfall making its way past the Charleston area. And in the mountains, they're already seeing a little bit of that kind of winter mix, just kind of more in the Mingo area, Summersville, and down to Fayetteville as well. But again, that's all going to kind of quickly change as we get closer to 8. More snow up in the mountains, kind of some patchy kind of snow flurries making its way down in some areas, but the mountains are going to be getting the majority of that snowfall as we make our way into early Thursday. 9 a.m. still getting some of that snow here and there, but mostly cloudy for the eastern Kentucky and the Ohio River Valley area. And again, Thursday is going to be a very cold day. But for that snowcast, again, just a dusting to an inch expected, and then maybe 1 to 3 up in Sutton and Beckley and Fayetteville, and more kind of further up in the mountains. But from those kind of isolated snow bands that we saw from those snow flurries, we could be getting maybe an isolated 2 inches of snowfall there. But again, for those temperatures, now currently for that wind chill, not much, but that is going to be changing very quickly as we make our way towards tomorrow morning. You can see 8 degrees at 10 a.m., 6 near Parkersburg, Clarksburg, and Sutton, and then around noon, it's going to be 1:30 tomorrow. It really is not going to be changing. Again, a very cold day, 10 degrees in Charleston, 13 in Huntington, and by 6 p.m., still holding on to that forecast at 11 degrees for that wind chill. And as we make our way towards the night, still pretty chilly. And it's also going to be pretty windy. 9 a.m. we're going to have 30-mile-per-hour winds. So with that snow, we could have kind of reduced visibility in some areas. We can see the mountains getting the majority of those heavy winds, but we're still going to be seeing maybe 30-mile-per-hour breezes here and there in the afternoon. And then 8 p.m. it'll finally start to die down for Thursday. So Thursday is going to be a little bit of a busy day, but we are going to be having snow as we make our way through the weekend there. Friday, though, the temperature is still pretty cold, but better than Thursday with that wind chill. But 20 degrees to start us off, and then noon and 5 p.m. getting more of that winter mix, but temps in the 40s. So on the radar here again, Friday evening, we get another kind of round of rain, turning into snow into kind of the late night, going into early Saturday, lasting until around 7 a.m. and then, of course, making its way up towards Sutton area, giving us kind of more of a cloudy weekend. But we are going to be seeing more snow Friday, Saturday, and then also a little bit on Sunday with those temperatures dropping kind of into the 30s there. You can see the weekend still being pretty cold. This is our true winter week here. Lots of snow expected as we make our way towards Sunday. A little bit of a break, Martin Luther King Day. Some sunshine expected, but still a high of 30 degrees, so pretty cold. And we are going to be having those lows around 18 to 10 degrees as we make our way through the week.
Well, an Emmy award-winning actor turns himself in, denying disturbing allegations. Why police issued an arrest warrant for Timothy Busfield and what his attorney says tonight. Well, Oscar winner Zoe Saldana is now the highest grossing actor of all time. According to the numbers, a movie industry data site, films where she plays a leading role have earned nearly $15.5 billion worldwide. The 47-year-old reaches this new milestone following the success of Avatar: Fire and Ash, in which she returns for the 3rd time. And this could be your chance to be in a Super Bowl commercial. Take a listen to this. Skittles, they're now holding a contest that will result in a live ad from the winner's house during the big game. The lucky homeowner will have Skittles delivered by movie star Elijah Wood. For more information and to enter the contest, go online to followtherainbow.com. A potential winner will be notified on or around January 21st. Well, Grammy-nominated musician John Forte has now died at the age of 50. Police have now confirmed his body was found at his Massachusetts home on Monday. They say that the cause of death is unclear, but they do not suspect foul play. The R&B star is now survived by his wife and his 2 children. And new and disturbing allegations involving actor Timothy Busfield. ABC's Jacqueline reports authorities in New Mexico have charged Busfield with 2 counts of criminal sexual contact of a minor and 1 count of child abuse.
Actor Timothy Busfield set to appear virtually in an Albuquerque court for the first time after authorities in New Mexico accused him of sexually abusing 2 child actors. He is facing 2 counts of criminal sexual contact with a minor and 1 count of child abuse. In this video obtained by TMZ, Busfield adamantly denying the allegations before surrendering Tuesday to police in New Mexico.
I'm going to confront these lies. They're horrible. They're all lies. And I did not do anything to those little boys.
Busfield is best known for his roles in 30-something and The West Wing. According to court documents, Busfield is accused of grooming and sexually abusing 2 child actors on the set of the TV show The Cleaning Lady in 2022, which he directed in Albuquerque. The affidavit claims the mother told CPS the alleged abuse started when the alleged victim was 7 and lasted more than a year. According to the criminal complaint, the boy's twin brother also disclosed unwanted touching by Busfield. One of the alleged victims reportedly saying Tim would come into the bedroom on the movie set and inappropriately touched the child actors multiple times. Authorities say Busfield told them the child actors had been recast on the show's final season and claimed he heard their mother wanted revenge on Busfield for not bringing her kids back. In a new court filing, prosecutors today arguing Busfield should remain in custody, citing what they say is a pattern of predatory conduct. That same document also shows allegations of abuse of a 16-year-old girl. The father reporting it to police yesterday, claiming his daughter was kissed and touched inappropriately during an audition years ago. ABC News reached out to Busfield's attorney for comment on the new allegations. We were told Busfield denies those allegations, adding that he voluntarily took a polygraph test and passed. Jacqueline Lee, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Well, beneath the Greenbrier Valley lies a hidden world of limestone caves. We go inside a private cavern owned by the West Virginia Cave Conservatory in just a few minutes.